the stream with JoJo poses.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
You would recognize it if you saw it. It's like the that meme. JoJo memes are the visual version of that, where it was like, oh, I don't know that that songwriter. I was like, oh no, you'd recognize it if you heard it.
Like super serious.
Yeah.
Zoomed in on the face thing.
Hey,
I'll tell you when you're older.
I don't know what that is.
I'll tell you when you're older. It's fine.
Okay.
how you doing?
You will know when you see it. Like you'll at least seen one of these memes, 100%.
You think
You
I
gotta
spend
remember
more time
that
on
Will's
video-
old. He doesn't relate to memes with the kids anymore.
Will says, "What's a meme?" Am I saying
A meme? What's a meme?
I've had a conversation with my mum and my sister where they were talking about memes, and it did take me a little bit to realize they meant memes.
Oh god, no.
Yeah, a meme.
Yeah,
Yeah, a meme.
it happened.
I know what you're talking about now. It's a meme.
Hey,
Happy Mother's Day, everybody,
And this.
in Canada.
Mine was yesterday.
Yeah.
I was just talking about how you were the good party, and then this is how we start. Like last session, because it's the first one of a new campaign. It's like all professional, all sort of like. Now it's just.
We were talking about fried potatoes at the start of the
I
last
want
episode.
new people to know what they're getting into.
Discussions about fried potatoes, mostly.
Alrighty, how's everyone doing today?
So good.
I don't have any fried potatoes today, so I'm slightly less good than last time, but
I'm a
still
little
pretty,
tired, but
still pretty excellent.
Coffee. My second cup.
I was talking about when we were setting up the stream how I was like, oh, I don't need any coffee. Now I think I do. Now I've actually, we've gone live and had to deal with your shit for like a couple of moments.
That's
I feel
the
like I
problem.
might.
I don't know what you were
a couple of
expecting.
moments.
I don't know either. I don't know. So, week 2, Narashiro Nights. Last week you got introduced to the characters, to the world of Narashiro and the Jarviskjir family. The younger sister who may steal souls for fun and aesthetic enjoyment.
What do you mean May?
Yeah, I don't think there's any May in that. She does.
It
It happened.
It's a quantifiable
Couple times.
fact.
We know of 2 presently.
But quite frankly, the implications of which are terrifying.
Yep. You were like, oh, evil characters tag? Yeah. You have a character that's stealing souls.
I
Yeah,
think
but I'm so
Casual.
nice about it.
it's true. We are very
I
polite.
think she's just inviting them out of their body.
Polite evil. Speaking of, we have Rakath, the House Torturer.
You mean the information gatherer?
Yes.
Yeah. Information acquisitions expert.
That's correct.
And
That's the title on his little title
That-
card
that
that
is-
sits on
I
his
have-
desk in the torture
I'm
office.
fairly sure that's the term he came up with, like,
It was.
for the character, yeah.
Yeah.
Somewhere in my data banks that was saved.
Yeah, no, it's on my character sheet as information acquisition specialist for House Jarviskjir.
Vosnor, he's a samurai. There's nothing really special going on.
Probably the least evil, I feel, out of the
He's
three.
a-
I don't know. Torum is a delight.
And Torum is just an innocent little robot. Pretty much.
Taught how to
know
kill
what
monsters.
evil is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just taught to kill very efficiently and brutally.
He's doing his best.
I don't know who I am. I don't know what my name is. But all I do know is I must kill.
That's
Look,
like
Ma, no hands.
I mean,
Now that's using
metal
your
head,
head.
It probably would work fine, yeah.
1d6 bludgeoning damage.
Okay. We actually start this session the morning after you had a little feast. Basically, set up a feast so that everyone could. She was jealous. The other people had a feast. She wanted a feast. Your brother dealt with it, accepted that this was happening, and
The three of us sat down and had a feast.
very slightly awkward feast.
I had a good time.
That's the sign of it. That's the sign of it being awkward if one person had a great time. It's the morning after. Although, of course, there's no real time down here, just on your schedules. It's the morning after. Rakath has a new body in the torture chambers. This herbalist who apparently some Jarviskjir property went missing from her establishment. Other than that thing to deal with, what does everyone want to do today? You have a beautiful morning ahead of you.
Warning.
Look, it's going to be a thing the entire campaign. There's no freaking time. Just have to deal with it.
It's like a beautiful cycle it is today.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just get used to it.
the cave ceiling moss is looking particularly bright today.
You actually can't see the ceiling of the cavern.
Yeah, I guess that's so true.
Hence the I can't remember what we called it. The Society of People Who Don't Believe that they're underground.
The flat Earth.
No, it was the Society of the True Surface.
Something like that.
I think that's what it was.
I'm not sure if they're canon yet. We'll see.
No, they are. They definitely are. I have to go to a mask shop today.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
That's a job
Yeah.
to do. Would you invite anyone from upstairs? Because I
Yes.
imagine, I mean,
Me going alone.
none
would
of you
be-
have anywhere else to go. So yeah, you would all be upstairs.
Yeah.
More or less, Voss, the servants will have set up a space for you here. I imagine. I was thinking about this today. You probably don't have a home. You do have your family shrine, which is something. But yeah, they would have set up a little bit of a
I imagine
space.
they would have some kind of like keep, whatever you want to call it.
The
like,
the shrine,
house.
yeah, it would be the shrine, which is outside of the city and quite a ways away.
Yeah.
So-
But yeah, as far as space, I don't really need a lot of space because like meditating as any kind of elf really looks like. Although I guess my meditation ritual, specifically what Voss does, is when he goes to meditate, just takes his sword, lays it down in front of him, sits cross-legged directly in front of it, and just like sits motionless for his 4 hours. And
Fair.
that's his meditative stance.
Yeah, it would be one of those things where they would keep asking if you want more space, because the 3 living Jarviskjir members all have like personal chambers that are quite large. But nah, you just have like a side room.
Yeah.
You're just using like a corner of it, which is totally fair. And Torum doesn't have any space of its own. He's just outside of Yuna's room most of the time.
Yep.
So would you come upstairs and find peeps, Rakath? Considering now you're friends with Yuna, you're probably allowed upstairs.
Yes. I would.
Actually, it's noticeable because the servants would used to have stopped you, but because you've now been kind of working on a more official capacity and they've been calling you sir and all of that, they don't stop you when you come upstairs anymore. Although noticeably, the door to the dungeons locks on this side of the the household, so they could lock you out if they wanted to.
I've got tools. It's fine.
You're a rogue, technically.
Technically. I don't even have thieves tools proficiency though, so it would just be sleight of hand, which is fine.
You're just a shifty guy.
Yeah. I am a rogue in only the one respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd come upstairs and it would be I'd actually go see Voss first.
Voss is the easiest one to find because Voss is, House of Jarviskjir doesn't have a large amount of... This is not a large manor house. It's basically 2 floors of apartment. So where Voss meditates is basically where they would use. It's like a living room, you know. So you would usually pass it, and there's not so often doors in Drow society due to intense paranoia. So like in these kind of open chambers where usually you would have like open discussions, there's no doors. You can just walk over and you can see him meditating.
And like where I would be in the room would be in the corner with my back to both sides of the wall, so that I am facing in like the one entrance to the room.
That's totally what I was imagining as well.
With just my sword in front of me, like laid out on the ground, possibly propped up by one of those little sword holder things.
Are you?
Make sure you don't startle him.
Are you genuinely like currently still meditating?
At this point, I would be meditating, but not trancing.
You don't need it anymore. Yeah.
Like I'm not
Gotcha.
trancing in this way that elves do to actually rest, but I would be meditating in the way that people do when they just meditate.
Right. Just
No,
out of
it's an important
curiosity.
distinction.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But just out of curiosity's sake, I am gonna try and just sneak into the room just a little bit, not hugely, but just see.
Give me a perception check. The servant outside the room actually does see you. There's a servant. It's actually Nero, who is the head of the servants.
And I just give him a nice little.
He's just standing outside, assuming that at one point Voss will need something, and he does kind of give you a bit of a timid nod, because of course he's terrified of you.
Yeah.
So, Voss, you see Rakath, or you sense Rakath kind of shambling into the room.
Yeah.
I'm a big man. It's very hard to is the thing.
I keep forgetting that you're so big because
I'm
you're
large.
like sketchy and like skulking around. I keep forgetting you're literally a giant.
He's
I'm
large
literally
and like
6'5" with the slouch.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't slouching, you don't even know how tall I'd be.
Yeah. So when I sense that you're kind of coming into the room, without getting up or even really opening my eyes, I'm just going to say, yes.
I have to go buy a mask today. Would you like to come with me?
Voss doesn't say anything. You just see his eyes open. He just stands up and grabs his sword, puts it in his wrap, and just says, "Well, I guess I'll come with you. It wouldn't do our master any good if you were killed walking the streets mistaken for a hook horror."
Oh, that would be a new one. I haven't been mistaken for one of those before. Many things, but not that yet. Anyways, would you suggest that we go and grab Yuna and the metal one as well, Torum?
What are they doing right now, or would we even know?
you can see across the hall, Torum. I believe Torum has a chair, which is a bit weird for the robot.
Yeah, I'm just sitting in a chair, probably like, if I'm not doing armor now, I'm probably like looking at my weapon, just maintaining it, making sure everything's good.
Yeah, Torum just sits outside of the door to Yuna's room, where I imagine Yuna is just inside doing whatever.
I will just kind of walk over to her room. And once you notice me, I'm just going to give a deep bow and just say, "The Lady Yuna, we are going into town to see about getting something to conceal your friend there. If you're interested in coming with us."
I will immediately open the door. And I'll just say, "Oh, how exciting. I would love to go. Just give me a moment to finish up what I'm doing."
Oh. I should never give Aaron time to do some shenanigans.
I'll just respond. Very well, meet us in the entryway when you are ready to depart.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna go back to my room and get my armor and stuff on. Not that I'm expecting a fight, but I'm not expecting a fight either.
So I'm gonna have Torum just go and place that little chest piece back to where I think it comes from.
Yeah.
And Ollie, if it's all right with you, I am going to try and like hollow out a hole in it or some sort, so I can stuff like a little nut inside of it, if it doesn't already like unscrew.
Absolutely.
And I would have done this like overnight.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
I
right
suppose
now.
that's a sleight of hand check because that's a very delicate thing to do.
Let me
go.
just launch this Roll20 game.
We were talking about Pokemon and Star Trek and all sorts of things before the stream. It's totally fair.
If you want to get me distracted, just bring up Pokemon and I can talk about it for a few hours.
Speaking of, there's actually a community that I found on Reddit when I was doing that D&D Pokemon project that actually plays D&D 5e in the Pokemon world with like a bunch of homebrew rules and stuff.
That's
Very cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Might show up someday in the future. With that's absolutely, with a night's work, you can hollow it out to store little secret components in.
I imagine I have all kinds of tools and stuff in here and whatnot.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're a handy gal.
So I'm just gonna hollow out little piece, and I'm just gonna leave a note in there, basically saying that I miss him and I want to meet up.
Cool.
And let me know when he's free.
You do
We'll
that.
do the thing.
Torum goes off to store that, which I imagine would be actually in like the house's pantry, the most out of the way place in a small apartment. It's an apartment any of us would very, very happily live in, but for nobles. Okie dokes, and then you can go off on a little mask buying adventure. You have the address. I don't believe you have anything more than that. You just have the where to go.
Just the address.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I should have written it down, but I didn't. The person's name who referred me.
Oh, Gala Ild. I will put it in chat.
Thank you. Thank you. That's why I didn't save it last time, in case you were wondering.
Well, you're gonna. Well, we're Drow here, so there's gonna be a lot of weird names.
Yes. More just I forgot, and then I didn't want to ask how to spell it, and it was just a whole thing.
It's it's fair. This actually shop is in your kind of. Easier way to say it's your domain of lower tier nobles. Really what the meat of Narashiro is, because most Drow in some way claim some sort of noble blood. So it's in this kind of area. It's not particularly near where your House of Escos is, but it's in that part of the world. You have a nice little journey across many twisting bridges and things. It's closer to that area. It's actually a bit of a boutique. It's got a shop front, but no like name or anything. It's a little strange to have one but not the other. But it does have glass windows that have masks and masquerade gear. It's almost like a party shop, but I say that and that kind of insinuates cheapness. But of course, in a world like this, for Drow parties, actually a very high scale establishment. Very delicately made craft, especially because this is a culture that doesn't really have wood, so everything has to be made of metal or fabric or bone or something. When you would come in, and it would definitely have a little ring on the door. It opens up into a fairly small, it's almost like a one-room shop. Where it has many masks on the walls. Masks that kind of resemble all sorts of things. Varric would have loved it here. Then the desk kind of in front of the store is both a desk of sale, but also a desk where these things are being made. It's very much dual service, and standing there is a strong Drow woman who is actually painting a mask white while you're coming in, sort of painting the seemingly bone of some kind. And she will kind of smile at you as you spill into the shop, as groups do, and kind of look behind her. You know, the mask is all draped on draping fabrics and things, and it makes quite the display. And we'll ask you in Elvish. Actually, we ask you in Undercommon because you're not an elf. Would ask, what are you looking for today?
Well, I'm looking for something to cover up my delightful visage.
And I'll actually pull up my mask and pull down my mask.
Yeah.
And
she leans in for, like, she puts down what she was doing, brushes it aside, and actually leans closer with a degree of fascination, not disgust.
I'm looking for something that will also cover my eyes. Something more complete than what I had before. It works, of course, but
Crude.
you can still quite obviously tell I am not normal.
I don't think we'll be able to disguise you as a usurper.
Oh,
but I
no.
do think we could make something that works. Who sent you? I have to ask.
I was referred by a woman named Gala Aeld.
Are you part of her order?
Would that get me a discount?
It would let me know the kind of thing you're looking for.
I am not.
She will kind of turn and actually start bringing some larger masks up, because a lot of them are, you know, masquerade masks, not meant to fully conceal someone's identity. And we'll start bringing some larger ones up where, you know, some of them have a little bit of an animalistic design, but of course these are Underdark animals that are always weird hodgepodges of creatures anyway. Some of them are just like blank. There's more than a few that are masquerade masks, but then have some kind of shawl draping down, which is actually what Gala had. And we'll lay several out, and then look at you again, and we'll say, without sounding insulting, your face has particularly unique proportions. You might prefer something couture?
I might, but I'm not certain I can afford the cost. This is, after all, quite a high-end establishment, and I can tell the craftsmanship is excellent. So,
Perhaps another time.
Depending on the cost, I wouldn't mind hearing a quote regardless.
It would depend. A fabric mask would not be particularly durable, but could be fitted quite well to your features and would cost no more than 4 gold. A bone or metal mask would most likely be 15. Again, depending on the type and depending on whether we have our enchanting allies have a look at it.
And what would the cost be for enchantment? I imagine that's out of my price range at the moment, but it's always worth asking.
That is a case-by-case basis, but in the hundreds, occasionally thousands.
Certainly. Good to know. For now, I think we should stick with something fabric, just for the moment. But, well, actually, perhaps bone. Bone has always fascinated me.
You could do both.
Could do both. Now that is interesting.
Just as a mask does not hide your identity, but simply put a new layer upon it, new layers of material can often make something much more personal and much more perfect for someone with features such as your own.
Well, I think a bone and fabric mask would do just the trick. I will leave it to your artistry to decide exactly what that should be, but I imagine you'll need to take some measurements of my face, head, lumps.
She walks around the table and she just simply nods. And we'll start
Is there a stool somewhere? that I can
There's a
sit
chair.
down on. So
There's a
I
very
will
comfy chair.
I will sit down on the chair so she doesn't have to try and stretch and reach up.
She does a very simple kind of, it would kind of be under predestination, where she's kind of measuring with magic. Very simple, like, lines of kind of a whitish blue come up as she sort of measures the general shape of your noggin. And she will actually be talking ever so slightly as she does it, and says, "If you do have an interest in returning often, my name is Koz."
Cause. Well, thank you very much. I don't have a name, but they call me Rakath.
She merely laughs at that. But not a very subtle drow laugh. Takes a lot to make a drow belly laugh. Mutilations, stuff like that. But we'll keep measuring, and when that's done, we'll actually straight up go to like a sketch pad and start drawing things, and we'll say, "I might need some time to think on what would best fit you. If you would pay me the gold and come back 24 hours, I'll have something for you. It may not be finished in that time."
24 hours sounds good. And will that be 19 gold as the combined cost for fabric and bone, or
Just 15.
just 15?
Absolutely. And he'll pull it out of the pouch and count it off very slowly, very purposefully counting each piece and putting it onto the counter. Also, just to demonstrate trust that I'm not just going to dump gold on the counter and expect her to trust me with it. Very purposefully stacking it and leaving it there for her and saying,
Thank you very much for your kind work, Cos, and thank you for not reeling back in horror as many do.
We deal with many folk in my establishment here. People from all walks of life, people who call all sorts of faiths. Masks are important, as one's true face must be guarded.
I must ask, have you seen a face like mine before?
Not like yours. Although some of Galar's allies have similarities.
Still looking for one like me. Thank you very much.
She will nod and keep on sketching, and you can head out.
Before we leave,
It's actually something of note. I did not mention, but through Voss's eyes, you would notice there would be samurai helmets with masks in this shop, because it's very common to have a sort of mask in set with.
That's literally something like what I was just about to ask about. Is she the only person working in here? Like,
Yes. Yeah. You can tell there's a back room behind her, but she's probably the only person here.
Yeah. Once they're finished up and she's just kind of tending to her work, I will approach her as well, and just kind of lean onto the counter and say to her, I am also looking for a mask.
Does anything here take your fancy, or do you need something specialized?
I'll say, well, I'm looking for something draconic in nature.
She nods and will... you kind of hear a clicking under the desk, and then she will actually take up several dragon masks. Some of them are just merely the suggestion of dragon, like a masquerade masks that have some horns and sort of a scale pattern. There's some that are full on, a dragon muzzle, more or less. There's some which are, among the samurai, the masks are often, meant to suggest something draconic, so it is kind of like a humanoid draconic face, something more like a half dragon. That would definitely be one of the ones there. Most of them are black. Some of them are a little more shiny, especially the ones made of metal. They just haven't really been painted. At least one of them is platinum, like full on.
Interesting. It's expensive, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And as she's kind of pulling these out, I'll just explain to her. I said, perhaps you are familiar with the legends of the dragons who reside between this world and the next.
I have heard of such things.
I feel that there may be a time soon that I may need such a thing.
She takes out quite an old-looking book, and flicks through it to a page that I imagine Yuna would recognize, which is the very typical 3 circles depiction of the material plane, the Feywild, and the shadow plane. And she'll kind of, linger her fingers on it slightly. And will say, I could craft you something that elicits such a design. That would clearly show any dragon of shadow your allegiance.
When she says that, you'll just see Voss kind of almost crack a smile. And he just says, that is precisely what I am seeking. I have been away for far too long, and I have not yet had the opportunity to have something like this crafted, but the air is thick with the scent of blood yet to be shed. And I feel I may need something along the lines of what you've described quite soon.
15 gold pieces, I can have something ready to show you tomorrow.
Cool. I'll take out my coin pouch and count out the 10 gold pieces that would make up the difference and keep those and just give her the couch because there's more.
Yeah,
given to
totally
her than
fair.
what
And she will very quickly count through it, and then does start sketching up some things and actually starts, positioning some of the other dragon masks to kind of use as inspiration for that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I'll give her a deep bow and
She will actually... I don't know what languages you have. I'm going to check real
what languages
quick.
I have.
Yeah.
Those ones. Oh god, why do I know that language?
She actually says something which is very clearly in another language. A language that's deep. Deep isn't the right word. Bassy and kind of seductive and fluid. It sounds like a goodbye. But I don't think
Is
any
this
of you
something
speak.
I was like, I don't understand what she's saying.
You can give me an insight. Because it's something that your character should know. But you do get that thing of like, that's recognizable, but it's been a long time since you've been in civilization.
Yeah, for sure.
If you
Reply in kind with kind of a deep bow and just head back out to the party.
Okay.
if you turn around, you'll see Torum this close to one of the masts, just staring at it.
I will just look to him and then look to Yuna. Be like, I think you're. What did you say he was called again? I think he likes that mask.
His name is Torum. Do you want a mask?
No, I'm okay. It was just interesting.
We can change out your faceplate if you want something else.
No, this one works fine. Turns around and walks over.
Shadow dragons.
What's a shadow dragon? Can I meet one?
It is inadvisable that one would seek to commune with such a creature.
And yet you look to show allegiance.
Allegiance is not necessarily the word I would use. Symbols are an important thing, as I'm sure you're well aware. Literally saying this as there's crests of my house all over the armor, and I'm sure there's it's just like everywhere. Like you go, house symbols are probably super prominent. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually described that. The crest that's on my armor, which is of House Nor, is that of a burning Zerkwood, which is kind of like the equivalent of an oak tree in the Underdark.
Yeah.
It's like a giant fungus.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't think it's ever come up. But yeah.
No, yeah. I don't think it has. It would be noticeable because this would be the time where you're kind of actually looking at that as more than just artistry to try and figure out why he's doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Okie dokie. What else
I would
do you
like to
wanna
meet a dragon.
That
Shall
would
we go
be
get breakfast?
interesting.
do?
Indeed, breakfast sounds delightful. I could really go for some biscuits. Voss, did you end up saving me any biscuits from the feast?
I did not take it upon myself to do such a thing, but I'm sure some of the servants have some.
I did ask you before you went up to save me some biscuits.
He did ask you.
I apologize. I seem to have forgotten in my haste to make conversation with our master.
That's okay. No one ever remembers Rakath. It's fine. And Rakath walks out of the shop, putting his mask back on, and
I just looked at you and I'm
Wow,
like,
boss.
if anything, I feel no one would ever forget Rakath. Especially considering the type of people who meet him. Then I will also walk out.
Right.
by the way, I got some information from the herbalist, prisoner, House Tabletop's lackey, depending on which avenue you wish to describe her life. But it appears her shop was robbed, according to her. She's still, of course, in the dungeons, in case she is lying and in case I need to punish her for her lies. But she gave it up willingly, without me having to pry any information. So,
What did they steal?
a large machine of some variety. House Tabletop's property. Would have taken a crew to move. Either it was planned from the inside then, or a large crew just happened to know what it was and why it was important.
I would be curious to see that machinery. Let's go visit.
I'm sure it's gone, is the issue.
Right, but I might be able to figure out what it was and what it did based on what's still there.
Well, I'm
And
certainly happy to go take a look.
I believe that's where we should start. We have nothing else to go on.
We may want to confirm with your brother first that he would actually like us to pursue this, but I will also note she mentioned that she had informed some of the city guard what the machine was. And
That
so,
was a mistake.
that is always a mistake. But it might be valuable to let your brother know where we're going first.
We will invite him to breakfast.
Excellent plan.
And also,
Maybe
he can
there will
pay.
be biscuits.
It does also mean he can pay. You go to like probably that same cafe that's like kind of near your house. Kind of it's you know, it has an overlook of parts of the city, which is quite pleasant. You fetch the servant to go and get him, and Jericho will appear as he always seems incredibly begrudging. He doesn't have pockets in his robe, but if he did, his hands would be in them. You know, he walks over with no urgency. You can see him for like quite a little bit. He like even will actually like stop, kind of look around. You know, it takes him like 5 minutes to actually get to your table where breakfast is being served, where he will sit and pour some tea and then take a flask from inside his robe, add a little bit of a clear liquor to the tea. and kind of swirl it with his finger. And then smile. Well, you've all seemed to become the best of friends, sharing breakfast together every morning.
Isn't it wonderful?
I was just
Sip.
informing your sister about the results of my interrogation last night.
The herbalist.
Yes. A machine stolen from her premises. Large machine would have had to have been moved by multiple people. She apparently had told some of the city guard about it.
Yes.
Either an inside job or she's a fool.
It's
Two are
likely.
not often mutually exclusive.
Well, she's definitely a fool. Absolutely. Which is part of the reason why I hired her to do this. I would rather than dealing with an actual herbalist alchemist guild or family, someone independent is often good to deal with, although you can't trust them. You also can trust that you can't trust them in the same sort of way.
Always trust a dishonest man to be dishonest. It's the honest ones you've got to watch out for.
I
Never
assume
know when
that
they're going to do something stupid.
I assumed that she wouldn't actually really know the import of what she was doing. And then, whether she did or not, she still seemed to have not understand that in this city everything should be kept secret.
What exactly was she doing?
I have a meeting with a delegate from the Illithids of Ebimari. They cannot eat our food, but that apparatus is to essentially make an agent that can make our food palatable for one of their disposition, their dietary needs. I thought it much easier than trying to find a brain that they could devour. Such a short visit, not worth the effort.
Well, there's always a brain in the dungeon, if all else fails.
There's always the servants if all else fails.
Oh, that would be unfortunate. They've been doing such a good job lately.
So we thought we would investigate.
Good. Good idea. I really don't trust... Well, no one else is going to look into it if you don't.
The city guard?
Likely chance they stole it.
It's very likely. It's the most likely outcome at this point. She said she told others as well, but she's not sure exactly how many. Very useful.
Well, you know, she's an old bird. With the wisdom and knowledge that she holds comes inadequacy.
And eccentricity.
He finishes his tea and then just like pours more of the liquor into the cup and just starts drinking it from the cup. And kind of like leans back in chairs that are definitely not meant to be leant back in. Like there's a definite creak. And nods and says, "Yes, I would like you to pursue this before any Illithid pass the threshold into our home."
So, how long do we have?
They are not a particularly punctual people. Most likely have several days. It used to be different. We used to have our delegates living outside the city, where they could come and go when necessary. But all the delegates, all the diplomats are moving east. Makes things much more awkward. It means instead of saying we need to have a meeting when we have it that day, it means we must wait for half a season. Of course, nothing important ever gets said at such meetings, but still, it's the principle.
Indeed. I always find the most interesting things are never said at meetings, but rather behind closed doors.
And those closed doors used to be right outside, easy to listen to.
The good old days, as it were.
That's what everyone would say, yes. We
Most
come
people
barreling forward towards a future, towards a war with the surface, claiming that world as our own. I think we will miss our home if such thing is to happen.
I've never had a home. I don't know necessarily what I would miss, but I think you never know what you've got until you no longer have it. Like limbs.
Remember very well that everything you have is because of my compassion towards you. And he will stand at that. And
He means that you have a home, Rakath.
he will throw some coins at the table, grumble to himself. And,
When he stands up, I'll also stand up and just bow to him as he leaves.
Sir,
Polite.
before you go, I wish to say thank you again for allowing me to work for your family and stay with your family. I do appreciate it.
You are correct. And he will walk away.
Can I do a perception, essentially throughout that entire scene, a perception check? I would have been watching anyone that, looked over and paid attention to exactly
Yes.
who was at the table.
Yeah,
and stuff like
absolutely. That's more of an insight.
Okay, insight.
Because you're seeing everyone and everything. It's really the energy.
Nope.
Would I also be able to?
Yeah.
While I'm doing that? Yeah.
You were talking a bit more, so you're gonna have a higher DC, but
Yeah.
it's whereas Torum is just a robot.
I was going to say I would still write I might write down the wrong people, but I'll write down a list of the descriptions of people and hand it to you.
Probably be like Rakath noticing you doing that, which would make him kind of pay a bit more attention while he's doing it. And you do notice someone essentially making a drug deal at a table nearby. Someone going over and handing over what appears to be a potion of healing or something of the sort in a vial, as well as a powder where the very simple cloth doesn't quite conceal the glow from inside to someone else. And some gold is a hefty amount of gold, because that's at least 50 gold is handed over as well. You notice that, and then the dealer, as it were, he kind of lingers. Whether that's to not look suspicious, or whatever, but he lingers. He orders a drink and stuff. He hangs around a bit more.
I'm going to grab some of the tea, like a cup of the tea, pour more for myself, and just say,
Torum, could I have one of those vials of the sticky liquid?
Yes, of course.
Thank
you. And it's gonna hand you, and then when he hands it to you, he goes, "It's glue."
Oh, excellent. That's even better.
and I'm going to take that back. And I'm going to walk over and can I try and stealth by this guy?
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. All right.
What's your intent? So I kind of know what you're going for here.
The intent, partially, is to use some of the liquid to glue his back to the chair when he leans back, so he can't leave. And then I'm going to sit down in front of him.
More of a sleight of hand.
I will gladly do a sleight of hand. Absolutely.
Because that's more, whether he sees you or not, you can kind of,
Yeah.
Do that thing where you lean on the chair behind
Pretty
him,
much,
you
yeah.
actually,
And I'm just going to be
find
dabbing some of the liquid in with some cloth that
That's
I have,
great.
and just rub some of the glue on the back of the chair.
Okay.
yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. The guy doesn't notice you. He's actually cleaning his glasses. Very strange to see a drow with glasses, not even goggles. Although they are kind of the ones that kind of fit to the side of the head a little properly. Yeah. They kind of fully encapsulate. But he is kind of cleaning them, looking out. So then he leans back and there's a little bit of a squelch.
And I'm just going to sit down in front of him at that moment with my tea.
Excuse me, I don't know. What is this? I'm not looking for breakfast guests.
Nor am I. But I am looking for information, and you seem like the type.
I have no information I could give someone such as yourself, and goes to stand, and there's just kind of like a like the chair kind of grunts against the ground, and like kind of strains a bit, and then you see the eyes widen a little bit.
Oh, I wouldn't struggle too much. You don't want me, well, taking you in properly now, do you?
I don't know what kind of sewer monster you are, but I want nothing of what you're selling.
Oh, good. I'm not selling anything. That would be you who were selling things, if I'm not mistaken. For a hefty gold sum, no less. Huh. What was that? Around 50 gold, perhaps more?
A simple healing potion. Everyone has their
Yes,
needs.
healing potion and a mystical glowing powder that has absolutely nothing to do with healing. Where did you get that powder?
This can be persuasion or intimidate.
If you want
Dealer's
to,
choice.
like literally what's gonna happen,
More
what I
of
was
an
gonna say
intimidate.
while you're doing this,
Intimidation. All right.
if I could just assist on that by looking in that general direction and just like drinking from my tea and just kind of grunting.
Yeah, like making it clear that he's with a bigger group. I'll allow that.
Exactly.
Also, you know, you've stuck him to the table. You know, the whole scene is worth an advantage.
I like the idea that if he was to look over, he sees him just staring at him drinking. Then there's Una being very happy, and then just Torm
I'll just
standing
like wave.
by-
A new person.
You asked how he got it, right?
I asked him what it was and how he got it.
It's I'm surprised that someone such as yourself with such disfigurements hasn't learnt of Aether Crystal. Everybody's doing it nowadays. I simply work for House Ab-Adar, herbalists, alchemists, a little bit of business on the side of Aether Crystal. Harmless stuff, aside from all the harm.
Well, don't you seem like a delightful fellow? You see, I work for people as well. People who let me indulge in some of my more harmful practices. I don't
Look,
acquire.
it's just a substance. It's just a substance. It has an arcane composure to it. That's all.
There's one more question that you didn't answer. Where did you get it?
House Ab-Adar. I'm one of their couriers.
Couriers. That's what they're calling you these days. Oh, that's an excellent name. Well, and what is your name?
My name is Vidrid.
Vidrid.
Vidrid
Well,
Ab-Adar. I am working for them. I take their name.
Oh, I didn't know that was an option.
It is the common parlance to.
I imagine that's only for your type.
I have a feeling a monster like you would not be able to claim a name of a goddess-fearing usurper.
No, well. Una, dear.
Yes?
Do we need another chair?
Oh, certainly. And I'll pull over my chair. And I'll sit down next to you.
Excellent.
Hello.
Thank you for joining.
I think I heard something about arcane properties.
Yes, you did.
Do you have any more on you?
If all you want is to steal it from me, and he will hand over, like, kind of throw another package of the stuff on the table. It kind of opens, spilling.
Stealing. No. Not
It
stealing.
spills out
Borrowing.
a kind of, a coarse dust, of ground up crystals that do kind of glow each crystal kind of captures both a yellowish and a pinkish light. Only very slightly. The glowing is so minute, but because it's on a glass table, it kind of captures a little bit further.
Oh, this is very interesting indeed. Can I just kind of give a cursory glance at it?
You can give me an Arcana check if that's what you're sniffing at. Okay. So you actually know exactly what this is because you're smart. The stars in the sky of the caverns are commonly called aether crystals. There's a lot of other names for them as well, based on faiths and stuff like that. But they cascade a magical arcane light that travels down. It's very valuable as a magical component, but they only really appear on the top, so it's incredibly hard for anyone to mine. You figure that whatever arcane power is within them is if you ingested this in however way, it would transfer some of that to you. What taking Aether Dust actually does works as taking the Detect Magic spell for a short period of time. It allows you to see magic, essentially, which is why it's a very popular drug in parties and the sorts among nobility, because there's all sorts of magic floating around those places anyway.
I have a question. Does Detect Magic require concentration? And 2, if it does ingesting this drug also require concentration?
That's a good question that I don't know off the top of my head because I'm a bad DM.
I believe it does. The actual spell does. It's like
I believe it does.
10 minutes
I believe it does.
I also like the idea that if this is a drug, it's like paladins have access to it whenever they want, and they just don't party.
Paladins in this city, party. It is concentration, and I would say this is still concentration. It's more, it's less you're concentrating on it, and it's more getting stabbed will ruin your high. But yeah, it will still have concentration.
Fascinating. This is very difficult to mine. How much of this do you sell?
The occasional packet that usually, you know how it is, you sell it to folk who sell it, split it and sell it on and such and such.
Now, I have to ask, how much gold did you actually make from one of these packets? Just out of curiosity.
I sold that one for 25 gold.
25? And then the healing potion, I assume if that was
additional
a healing
50.
Potion, an additional 50. So you have 75 gold on your person right now from that transaction, correct?
Paid me in check to their bank. You won't be able to steal anything from me.
I'm not looking to rob you. I'm asking about accounting.
I will kind of slide the packet back over to him, like to show that we're not robbing him.
And also, Rakath, you know that's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Then what do you want? You're keeping me here in such a place where I can't rightfully make a scene.
Well,
yes.
You see, my family actually had some herbalism equipment stolen from them recently. And I'm just wondering if you know anything about that.
Precisely.
I don't deal with herbalists. I'm not selling
Herbalists,
smoke leaf.
alchemists. You just said you work for House Abadar.
They do all sorts of sorts, but I don't deal particularly with those who construct the stuff.
Right,
I'm a
but
ferryman.
you
I send
deal
things
with
back
the
and forth.
family who does, and therefore you might have information about the family who does. You see, this is a very simple logical jump that we're making here. This isn't necessarily complex stuff. So, what do you know?
You can give me an intimidate.
Sure.
We are also in the market for a new alchemist.
Should it become a persuasion now?
Nah.
Before I roll. Okay. Normal, not advantage.
Yeah.
All right. It's not bad.
I know that other alchemists in the area have to pay their money to Abadar and work through them. That's all that I know. I don't know most of them personally, because honestly, who wants to deal with a group of herb sniffers and spellcrafters who get high on their own supply?
And let's assume someone wasn't paying them.
While this is happening, can I do an insight check to see if he gets high on his own supply?
Yes!
What would happen to those people
I don't know.
who chose to circumvent them?
I don't know the specifics, but their shit gets smashed in. I always imagined a band of thugs, honestly.
To laugh on the other table. Torum's actually going to go to Yuna. Is what he does not strictly legal? Would he not know other people?
I'm gonna
area?
I'm gonna walk over to and put a hand on Torum's shoulder and just kind of like also position myself so I'm sort of looming over this guy sitting in the chair and be like, in fact, it is quite illegal.
Then would he not know other people who work in that area and might know something?
Oh, he most certainly does. It's whether or not he's going to be kind enough to tell us. Isn't
Torum just looks straight at him.
I might have the family name, it does not mean I know the higher-ups and their particulars and their purposes. I am paid to walk across the city all day, every day, carrying things.
I don't mean the higher-ups. I mean the people they would hire.
And I'm going to tell him to write down every name he knows.
Yeah, so Torum's basically insinuating that not the people who he's saying, I don't know the higher-ups, but he would know the people they would hire.
He's saying he don't.
I mean, if he doesn't even know them, they probably don't care about him at all.
No, but they would likely care about that 75 gold he's carrying on him right now that he's claiming was given to him in check form that definitely was not given to him in check form.
He does not write anything on the paper.
I suggest you start writing names.
I have nothing to write.
Well, if not names, locations.
You want to know the House of Abadar and where it is? That's fine. That's public knowledge. And he will start writing the address.
Write that down, and also write down any of the locations of the individuals who work for House Abadar. Even if you don't know them, you would have to know their locations in case you had to do pickups.
He will start writing that down.
Thank you very much, sir.
What he ends up writing is that, it's essentially, a few streets. Which would be kind of like, an alchemist district where there's lots of alchemists and herbalists, but all of them are forced to swear fealty to this house.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he writes the name of who, works at that building. So you get a little bit, but you don't get anything of the actual house.
That's all I was asking for. Isn't that much easier now?
It'll be easier when I am removed from this adhesion.
What adhesion?
I am not sitting here out of choice.
Oh, and here I thought you were enjoying my pleasant company.
There's like a visible shudder through the kid.
Rakath is actually going to give him kind of a wry wink with his bigger eye. And then he's going to stand up, take the piece of paper, and roll it up, put it in his pouch, and walk away.
And we are going to take a little break. Now that scene's done.
Leave that poor guy stuck in the chair.
Oh, yeah, you haven't got a counter glue.
I have no way to unstuck him without cutting.
Ollie only realized that, at that moment, it's like, oh, he's there now.
Yeah,
forever.
Or until he takes his shirt off, which is.
I don't think you realize how powerful this glue is.
Oh no!